Well, God bless you one and all, and welcome back to the Bishop's Corner. And of course, I'll be your host for this evening, and my name is Bishop Dr. Herbert N. Scott, the Chief Prelate of the Liberty Hall Cathedral of Praise right here in the heart of Brooklyn. And we are so appreciative of all you that have joined in with us tonight. And certainly we do want to thank God for the man of God himself, Philip Reed, who is affectionately known as Dr. Phil, and he happens to be the visionary of the Bishop's Corner. We do want to thank God for the panel that we have tonight. We thank God for the man of God himself, Apostle Lucien Rojas. Certainly, man of God, it is indeed a pleasure to have you again on the Bishop's Corner. We want to thank God for the man of God himself, Pastor Matthew McGee. Young man, it is indeed a pleasure to have you on the Bishop's Corner and the wisdom that you always bring when you are with us. And certainly, ladies and gentlemen, we are definitely blessed once again to have with us our brother, Bishop Elroy Ben, that is with us. But as you can see, there is someone that's really so close to him. She sticks on him like white on rice, and certainly she makes him look good. That's none other than his beautiful wife, Dr. Ben. Woman of God, certainly it's a pleasure to have you for the first time on the Bishop's Corner. And certainly you make Bishop Ben looks good. We used to wonder, why is it that he always has a smile on his face? But now that we see you, we know the reason why. God bless you. I'm hoping that Dr. Phil will be able to show that clip that we saw a few minutes ago. I'm hoping that he can, but before he shows that clip, let me just say something. Tonight we are dealing with a beautiful topic, and the topic is love and marriage. Love and marriage. And as the man of God is preparing that clip, let me say this. Some years back, there was this father and this mother that was living in the same house with their children. And the boy was about 3-4 years of age, and he was so cantankerous, getting into so many things. So the father had a map of the world, 6 feet by 4 feet, 6 feet by 4 feet. He ripped it up in about 50 different pieces, and he wanted that little boy to be kept quiet, so gave him the map of the world and told him to put the map together, thinking that it would take little Johnny at least 2 or 3 hours to put the map together. But as soon as the father turned his back and came back into the room, Johnny says, "Daddy, the map is together." The father said, no way could you put the map together so quickly. So the father said, "Let me see the map." When he took the map, ladies and gentlemen, the map was together. It was perfect. The father said, "Johnny, how come you did this so quickly?" Johnny said, "Easy, Daddy. On the back of the map, there's a picture of a man and a woman. Get the man and the woman together, you got the world. Get the man and the woman together, you got the world." So tonight we are dealing with love and marriage. Love and marriage. Dr. Phil, are you there? Could we possibly see that short clip, if possible?
Yes, Bishop, it's ready.
Thank you much.
And all you men out here 55 years old trying to date some girl 20 like she like you. Are you out your mind? She wants your house. I don't see no 20-year-old girls with a broke down 55-year-old man with no money. You don't see no girl 20. Oh, look at the homeless dude, but he's cute. Hey. She wants you to die. If you keep messing with her, you will. You want a woman that understands the signs of stroke. That's what I'm looking for. A woman that got my medication in her purse. Open your mouth. Open your mouth. I thought you took it. I thought I did. You want a woman that's your nurse. See, if you go to dinner with a woman that's 55 years old and your little lip curl up, she know what to do. Hey. Jamal, look at me. Jamal, look at me. She'll get you to a hospital and save your life. But a girl 20, quit making faces at me. It's not funny anymore. Now you all stroked out for the rest of your life because your little cute girlfriend didn't know the signs of stroke. She come visit the hospital. I ain't know what a stroke was. I tried to tell you. I don't understand you. I had a stroke. Well, can I have your house now? Since you can't live there no more.
Listen, I hope you found that hilarious. Can I have your house now? You can't live there anymore. Okay, so tonight we are dealing with love and marriage. Love and marriage. And I believe that the panel that we have tonight, they have a tremendous amount to say concerning love and marriage. So I want to put this question to the panel. Do you have to be in love to be married? Do you have to be in love to be married? Let's talk about it. Apostle Lucien Rojas, man of God, how say you? Do we have to be in love to be married? You're muted.
I would say no. And you would say, what? Well, you should be in love to be married, but some people married and they're not in love. So my point is, yes, you should. Do people married and they're not in love? Yeah. Is it right? No. They should be in love. So that's my thing. They should be. Do they have to? People get married for green card. People get married for all type of reasons. But should they? Yes, that's the foundation, love. Love is one of the most powerful forces in the universe. And I think it's the fundamental or the foundation on which marriage is built. So yes, you should. At first, I thought it was a trick question, but yeah, you should.
Thank you, man of God. Okay, Pastor Matthew McGee, man of God, how say you? The question is, do you have to be in love to be married?
Blessings to everyone. I would say I agree pretty wholeheartedly with what Apostle Lucien Rojas said. You should be. You should be. And so with the question, I guess one could take it from the vantage point to say, Christian marriage, you have to, from our faith standpoint. But obviously, as Apostle Lucien said, people do it all the time. They marry without love being the premise or the foundation. And so I would say those that do marry outside of love, and I kind of end my point here, those that marry outside of love, you're not going to experience the full manifestation of the blessing of marriage. If you marry and the premise is not love and the love that comes, that is born of God, you're not going to experience the full blessing of marriage. You'll only experience some type of, empty shell of what marriage is supposed to really mean and signify. So I'll end it there because I know we got a journey.
Thank you much, man of God. Okay,
so Scott, before Bishop Ben coming, can I just piggyback on what he says?
Yes.
Like my wife, where she works at, this young lady from a different culture, which is the Hindu culture, or she's from India, so to speak. And her marriage was arranged by the parents.
Yes.
Now, love is a journey, a process, is something that we grow into. Now, they never met, they never saw each other. And here you're bringing two individuals who never even spent a day together saying, hey, you're going to get married. So is there love there? And sometimes it works because we just not talking about the Christian settings. We're talking about generally speaking in different different parts of the world, cultures are very powerful. People do things different way. From a Christian standpoint, yes, but I'm saying in the Hindu, if I may use the term religion or culture, they have arranged marriage.
Yes.
Arranged marriages where the person wasn't attractive, whatever, and they get together, have kids, and the marriage end up working. I'm not advocating that, but I'm saying it's such a broad question that even in certain culture, things are done differently.
Yes, sir. And you'll find that even in that culture where it's done that way, there's less divorce. There's less divorce than in our culture and so forth, because to go through a divorce then also involves the families, because the marriage also involves the families, and the divorce also involves the families. So it varies from culture to culture. I want to put the same question to the lovebirds. I'm sorry, the couple that's with us tonight. Okay, the same question. Do you have to be in love to be married? Let's hear first from Bishop Ben and then his beautiful wife.
Thank you, Bishop. Glad to be with you again on this evening. And I am in agreement with all that have been said. Yes, people get married without love. We know that it's a reality. We know culturally things are handled differently by way of arranged marriages. And then people have different motives for getting married. But I believe if your marriage is to succeed, if your marriage is to be built on a solid foundation and then develop into a long-lasting, loving experience, it has to be start with or stand on love. It is important. It is essential. It is necessary. And again, I would even say, if we are talking about marriage, from a biblical perspective and also from the Christian perspective, I advocate that if you are going to get married, make sure love is the foundation.
Make sure that love is the foundation. Okay, Lady Ben, how say you, woman of God?
I concur. I agree with my husband. I agree with Apostle Rojas and Pastor McKee. I also, in addition, believe that love is important to marriage. Now, being the female on the panel, I'm coming from a female perspective, okay? Listen, love brings with it health benefits, and that has to do with my background. When you love, it gives you a closer bond. It improves your sex life. It reduces daily stress and anxiety. Love is that ingredient for me, for our Christian marriages, that cushions the marriage in the time of adversity. And I'd go a little further, and this is my pet peeve. Not only is it important to love the person, I've got to like you. If I don't like you, I may love you so I can excuse and I can forgive, but I really can't stand to be in the same room with you. But I love you, but I've got to like you. I've got to appreciate you. And when you have these attributes, it lends to a sturdy, solid marriage. I studied cultures. I love the different ways that marriages are put together. And Bishop Scott, you're correct. Even back in traditionally, marriages were arranged, and it wasn't a man and a woman. It was the uniting of families. And they stayed together because the grounds on which they came together was different. It had nothing to do with emotions or love. They were schooled that this is an arranged marriage. I am your wife. I obey and I follow. But the Western culture and we who are saved, we look at love as being the main ingredient that fosters a good marriage. I'll stop there.
Wow, woman of God, woman of God. I could listen to you I mean, all night, all night, all night. Now I see why Bishop Ben is always smiling. You know what I mean? Because when you open your mouth and the cibitorial drops just begin to.
Bishop,
Let me ask a question.
you're messing with me tonight.
How important are certain ingredients or things that are placed in the relationship for that relationship to really work? We talk about love, but is love the only ingredient that is necessary? Some people say they're in love, but things happen. What are some of the necessary ingredients? It's like a person cooking, about to cook some chicken or whatever. You have certain spices there that are necessary to make that chicken tasteful. Just cooking the chicken without those ingredients, bland, horrible, not worthy to be eaten. But what are some of the ingredients that are definitely necessary for a relationship to work? Pastor McGee, how say you, man of God? Muted?
Yes, so sorry about that. Yes, I would say to that, it's a pretty extensive list, I would say, but I would just kind of start with obviously communication, trust, honesty, integrity, sacrifice, respect. I mean, I could keep going with the list, and I'm not gonna take all the answers because I want everyone else to be able to chime in as well. But I think those are some critical elements, to a healthy, long-lasting relationship, marriage. Those have to be key ingredients that we really key in on, and I'm gonna stop there.
Would you say, man of God, that when you have the right foundation, it's easy to bring these other ingredients in when you have the right foundation? And most of you did say that foundation happens to be love.
Yeah, absolutely, Bishop. Because if we even rendezvous over to 1 Corinthians chapter 13, we get a full, detailed illustration of the behavior of love, the mindset of love, the characteristics that come along with one that says they are walking in and walking out the love of God. Because the love of God, it's going to encapsulate all of our characteristics, especially in the parameters of relationships. Our obviously our marriage, our family relationships, our friendships, things of that nature. Love, the love of God and godly love is gonna suffer long, right? It's gonna be kind. It's not gonna boast itself. It envieth not. Love acts a certain way. It operates a certain way, and that's why a lot of times we hear phrases like love is not necessarily in saying, love is in doing. It's in the action aspect of things. And so that the love concept really is the bedrock. It's the thing that opens up sacrifice, respect, trust, integrity, honesty, things of that nature. We can disagree and not war and not be ready to kill each other and call it quits.
Yes. Well, for a young man, you seem to know a lot, man of God. I want to know what university you went to. Okay. Thank you very, very much. Okay, Bishop Ben, man of God, what are some of the ingredients that are necessary to a successful relationship?
When you talk about ingredients, the first thing that came to mind is my wife's cake. And when my wife go to make a cake, the key ingredient is flour. Then you put everything else, the egg, the butter, the raisins and all that. but for it to come out as a cake, it has to have flour. Love is the flour of that binds everything together. Love is the flour that binds it to make it into a cake. So Pastor McKee mentioned a few, and I said I topped the list also with communication. You can love as much as you want, but if you're not communicating right, if there's negative communication, whether verbal or even facial expression, however you want to look at communication, because there are different degrees and aspects of communication. Right. So communication is necessary. Trust. You're not going to live with nobody in a happy, harmonious relationship if you can't trust them. You need to know when you lie down in your bed next to that person, you're safe. Okay. So trust is necessary. Forgiveness. We have to talk about that. How many times in your marriage you're gonna have to say sorry, or I messed up, or I did this, and you may have taken it like that, but I didn't mean it that way. So I see forgiveness as a very important. Caring, my wife said, like care. You love me, but do you care for me? Do you care about me? Are you concerned about my well-being? Okay, so I think caring is vital. Two others I will look at: respect. Honor and respect is very important, especially in the marriage. And the last one I would say is transparency. You do not have transparency, you have trouble. You can have all the love. I loves you and you loves me. But if we are not being transparent and open and quote unquote naked before each other, we're going to have some problems.
Amen. Man of God, I just love that certain aspect of you, that loves. Thank you very much. Okay, at this time we'll be hearing from Lady Ben. How say you, woman of God, the ingredients that are necessary?
I love all the ingredients that have already been spoken of. What I would add to that is care and affirmation. I'm going to affirm you. You're going to think and know and feel that you are the best thing that walked the planet Earth. I'm going to pump your ego up because I love you. I'm going to affirm you. You are the best husband. There ain't another that can walk. Honey, you better don't die because you're irreplaceable. Wow. I appreciate you. And that type of affirmation. And then we're talking about selflessness.
Yes.
Putting the other person first. There's so many marriages that talk about love and they're selfish. It's me, myself, and I. I've got to be first. What about putting your wife first? What about putting your husband first? His needs above yours. Those are the ones that I would like to highlight in addition to what has already been spoken of.
Wow. Lady Ben, we've got to have you on the program more often. God bless you, woman of God. God bless you. Okay, at this time we'll be hearing from our apostle. Man of God, how say you pertaining to the ingredients that are necessary?
Well, that is very important to have the ingredients. In this recipe, there's about 15 or 20 ingredients, and I call them main ingredients. And tonight we are just touching on them. We never went in deep. We never took a deep dive because we can discuss one of the ingredients for half an hour.
Yes.
Let's say trust. Yes. Let's say forgiveness. It's deep. We just skim in the surface here. But I want to take a different angle and talking about the Western culture, because there are different cultures. This weekend I was supposed to be at a traditional wedding in Ghana, Accra, but I wasn't able to make it. So yes, but now in today's generation, very important. They say the number one problem in marriages today is finance. Now, you can't have love for breakfast in the morning You know what I mean? So that is very important, that people have security in their marriage. And that's a financial aspect. I know I love you, whether you're broke, for rich, or for poorer, but let's be real here. That's one of the main problem in marriages today. And I often hear it. What are you bringing to the table? Yeah, we talk about love being the foundation, but I want to know what you're bringing, because back in the 60s, for example, my mother, she lived till 97. She died about 9 years ago. We have longevity in the family, but my mother never worked, not because she was lazy, but because she had 10 children and she never ordered Chinese food. She would cook every breakfast, every lunch, every dinner. She worked and she had to wash clothes, not with a washing machine. We call it the scrubbing board. You know, they work hard. Housework is hard, but in today's culture, we have where the husband and wife is working, you know, and sometimes the wife even make more money than the husband. And how about respect? Not because you're making more money. I'm old school. You know, the husband is still the head of the home. And that's not manipulation or domination. You know, that's the way it is, biblically, biblical principles. So these are some of the things people want in a marriage. They want security today. You know, so there are things like credit score. You know, we talk about trust and communication and honesty. But what about, are you going to marry somebody broke in the name of love? So you want somebody, and we talk about unequally yoked. We talk about the saved married and the unsaved. You making 100,000 a year, and Junior is making 20 a year. That does not really. That could run into some problems here, my brother. So there's this thing is so wide and broad in all the mitigating circumstances that you know, that makes a good marriage. Chemistry, compatibility, communication, understanding is one of the keys. The Bible said, in all you're getting, get what? Get understanding. You know, so you could truly love each other and be fighting and breaking things up in the house, and that's not really, you have a temper. I really love this person. But you have anger problem. There are so many things. That's why marriage is so challenging. That's why people need to get counsel before they get marriage. Now, we talk about love. I don't mean to preach to the choir, but Bishop, can I read a scripture tonight that talks about what love is and what love is not? I like to read from the NLT, the New Living Translation. This is our love chapter, as we all know it, 1 Corinthians 13. I'll read from verses 4 to 7. It says, love is, so it's saying what love is. Love is patient and kind. You know, love is kind. I am doing a series on mindset, and I did the M and the I, and last Sunday I talked about the N, and that N stands for nice. You know, as Christian, we're supposed to be the kindest people on planet Earth. So love is patient and kind. I'll tell you a story, Bishop, and I hope I don't go too long. My wife drives, but she's not too, you know, sharp, so she just got a car. And what happened, I have to sit in the front while she drives to work until, like Mother Eagle and Baby, until I kick her out of the nest and I don't have to drive with her anymore. But scholars and professionals say it's not good for a husband to teach a wife how to drive. So in the morning, even though I love her and we love each other, she said, "You're getting me nervous." I'm saying, "Stop. You forget your indicator." You know, and so I have to demonstrate patience, and I have to learn how to be nice, you know, and that is when it really counts. That's when it really matters. You know, bringing a rose on Valentine's Day, that's the easy part. Is communicating, is tolerating, is celebrating, is dealing with the nuances, the ins and outs, when you're unhappy, when you're pleased, when something bothers you, when something doesn't bother you. So love is patient and love is kind. Let me read it quickly and I'm done. Love is not. So you see what love is, and I would say what love is not. Love is not jealous or boastful or proud or rude. It does not demand its own way. You know, we want to win the argument. We have to be right. You know, it is not irritable, and it keeps no record of being wrong. And that's one of the things sometimes in marriages, we bring up things 6 months ago, what you said, what you did. You know, we have to move forward. We have to forgive and to forget. Hey, it does not rejoice about injustice, but rejoices whenever the truth wins out. Let the truth be told. 7, verse 7. Love never gives up. We talk about for better or for worse. Love never gives up, never loses faith, is always hopeful, and endures through every circumstances. That is beautiful. So we see here what love is and what is not. But this topic is so wide and broad, not just the compatibility and communication. There's a lot of things that led for, in this culture, day and age, a successful marriage. Yeah.
Beautiful, man of God. Beautiful indeed. Before we should get to question number one, which we have not yet gotten to question number one, let me just ask a question, and I'm hoping that you can answer this question somewhat briefly. Is there age? Should there be an age difference when it comes on to two people coming together, or age doesn't matter? We saw a clip in the beginning of the show where a guy in his late 50s married a 20-year-old girl and so forth. What do you think of something like that? I know that we did not rehearse this, but Apostle Lucien, what do you think of something like that?
Does the Bible, let's go back to the biblical thing. I'm a biblical preacher. I preach on biblical principles, and every Sunday I put up the scripture when I preach. I put up the scripture, and I try to be as scriptural as possible, apart from giving my opinion. Really and truly, scripturally, could you give me a chapter and a verse where it talks about the age difference, what is okay and what is not, or has it to do with a cultural thing? I think it's more celebrities marry younger people. We see that often because they have the money and the prestige and whatever. But what is a safe age? There is not I cannot say 10. Some people, 10 is okay. Some people, 15 is okay. 20 is a little too high. Some people think it should be around the same age. Who is right? Who is wrong? What's the rule book? What does it says that we can say this is what it is? 5, 10, 15. So again, I just looked at a video earlier on a Jamaican couple. And he went down to Jamaica and married this young, beautiful girl. And he seems to be in shape, have himself together. I think he's probably over 70. And they just revealed that age difference was 37 years. Wow. And she is saying she wants kids. He probably have kids that are older than her. And they were saying in their video on the YouTube that age is just a number. And she said, I'm happily married to this man. He's taking care of me. He loves me. He respects me. I am happy with him. Now, for me, I will not probably want my daughter to marry somebody who's senior 37 years old. But what about if that makes her happy? I really don't like that. I would not feel happy about it, to be honest with you. But who's to say what works and what doesn't work? One can marry somebody their age and abuse them. So, Bishop Scott, I can say what is I would like to see somebody married around the same age. In terms of when you get older, you can't perform as, when I say perform, I'm speaking generally. Let's be realistic here. Father Time has never been defeated. And when you get older, you don't have the zest, you don't have the strength. We're not saying that you can't do things, but we slow down. Let's don't fool ourselves. When we get older, we slow down. And her age group, when she wants to go out and hang, you wants to rock in the porch. That could cause a problem. When you got to get up 5 times in the night to go to the bathroom, listen, I don't want to be looking over my shoulder. I don't want her too young. I want her around my age group. I feel more, Yeah, but to say there's a rule that says 10, 5, or 15, I really can't say. And what about
honestly, biblically, when you look in the Bible, most of the time, all of the time, it's the man that's always older than the woman.
Right.
Biblically, I have never ever in scripture, if I'm wrong, you can correct me, where the woman is older than the man and so forth. But in today's culture, who knows? Let me put this same question to Pastor McGee. Man of God, how say you when it comes on to the age difference?
Again, Apostle Lucien Rojas is on fire today because as usual. But I agree with him. I agree with him really holistically in most of everything he said. It's obviously there is a point where it maybe doesn't make sense at all, like from a logical standpoint. And I think that we all can kind of speak to that there's not a rule book on it, but there is a point where it just doesn't make much logical sense. And I think we can all speak to that. But again, I've seen examples of marriages where there's an age difference and the marriages are healthy, they're successful, there's real love there, it's purposeful marriages, there's it's really a blessing. I've seen examples of marriages that don't work when they're the same exact age or in the same age bracket. I've seen examples of vice versa. It really varies, and it depends on the people involved. It depends on possibly the culture that they might be coming from or what they might be used to. It just depends on a lot of different things. I think that the truth of the matter is, if those two individuals, if they find something real, if they find something authentic, who's to say there's no rule book on it? Who's to say, oh, you shouldn't do that because of whatever? Obviously then there's the legal aspect of things. What's legal? So, again, we know what is ridiculous and we know what doesn't really make much sense and probably what would not necessarily look like it would work, but that would still be opinion based, not necessarily quote unquote facts based. But it varies. But I agree with Apostle Lucien Rojas. I do agree with him on every point he made as well.
Okay, thank you much. Let's hear from Bishop Dan at this time.
Let me let the wife go first, and then I'll come on.
Okay, what I can say is I concur wholeheartedly, Apostle Rojas. In addition to that, my biggest concern when the age gap is too wide is that the physiological changes. We all know that our bodies go through different changes and we have different levels of maturity, different levels of where our bodies start to, let me say, break down. A young man of 40 is virulent, he's strong. A man of 70 is not the same. His body has deteriorated to a certain point and he has certain physiological changes. And should they marry very young women, they run into issues and problems with that. And I know that there is not a specific age that you should get married at or a different gap. But I do believe that when you are looking, or those who are looking, they need to consider the age difference because it can bring changes. A man in his 50s or 60s has already actualized. He has met his goals. He is at the pinnacle of his life. A woman in her 20s, she is now coming up. Okay, she's looking for self-esteem. She is looking to see who she is and what she is. Their values are different, even though they may love each other. Their values are different, and they are definitely in different stages of development. Yes. And even though they may mesh, the two will never meet. A 75-year-old will never think like a 25-year-old. They may want to do the same things, but their bodies, that physiological endurance isn't the same. So I caution those who want, who are looking at those big gaps of 30 years, 35 years. I'm okay with 5 years, 10 years, even 15 years, based on the time that they get married. Because remember, a woman of 50, when she gets to 50, she will suddenly have a senior citizen on her hands. She has just reached the point where I want to do this, I want to do that. And he's saying, I'm tired. We need to go to bed from 8 o'clock because I can't get up in the morning, you know, and she is ready to hang. So therefore, those physiological changes need to be considered. But I do agree there's not a set rule, but I agree with Pastor, common sense need to prevail.
You speak with a tremendous amount of wisdom, woman of God. Thank you much. Bishop Ben.
Bless you. Yeah, of course, we know traditionally, the man is usually, older than the woman. That is something that has come through the years. And so because of that, there is that frown on an older woman marrying a younger man. And as my wife said, there's so much different physiological things that can come into to that dynamic. So I've seen it on both sides of the spectrum where it has worked with a big gap, and I've seen where it has crushed because, again, there was not much compatibility. And that's something that I would try to highlight there. How compatible are they in their thinking, in their operation, in their experiences, etc.? All that should be taken into question. So yes, we tend to look at probably the 10 years, or even, as she said, probably the 15. But I love to highlight what Pastor McKee said. There comes a time when there is the ridiculous. And the ridiculous is the one that we need to, having seen the dynamics play out before, we will caution when we see the ridiculous happening. But yes, there is not a age meter written in stone per se, but compatibility must be taken into consideration when you're talking about those age gaps that people get married at.
Beautiful, man of God. Thank you very, very much. Okay,
I just want to say this quickly. I had a situation in my church where I did not endorse this marriage. The guy was 22 years older than the girl, and the mother was kicking against it and so forth. And now they're still together and they have a kid. But certainly what works for some may not work for others, And now, in retrospect, I probably was wrong because I let my opinion dominate, what they wanted to do. For example, look at the president of France. That's the other way around. His wife is way older than him. She has the age to almost be his mother, And one more thing before we move on to that. When the woman, let's say in that case, she's younger, she want kids. And now probably sometimes your kids are older than her. And now if you have kids, there also is a problem where the kid can come out with some problems. And when the kids begin to grow up, the kid wants someone who could play a game with them, who could go to the baseball game. Now, when your kid is 17, 18, you're almost 80 years old. Could you run after that kid? Could you play a game with that kid in the yard? Could you help? So it's a lot of negativity, even though it can work, but it has potential. Potential, I say. The same age has potential of problems, much more when there's a big gap.
Amen. Amen. Okay, we have not yet even begun question number 1. So let me just put that to you. I believe that we have definitely answered it to some degree, but I think we can make this quick. If you're single and thinking about marriage, how important should loving your fiancé be? How important is loving your fiancé be? Bishop Ben, man of God, how say you?
That is very important. I know, as we said, people get married for different reasons, and they come together and they try to work this thing out. I don't think marriage is something that you try to see if it's going to work. You have to know the foundation that you're standing on. And so that foundation of love, again, I would reiterate, it's important. And love does not just spring at the beginning. it's something that you grow into. You grow into love. Originally you have that attraction. You are attracted to him or her for various reasons, whether it's physical, whether it's educational, the mental, whatever. But you're attracted to them. Then you move from that attraction to you just like to be with them. You want to. Okay, it's a build-up, it's a progression that's taking place that you reach that point that said, hey, I have a longing desire. I want to be with you. I desire to be with you. I love you. And so it's upon that you can say, yes, now let's make the commitment, the marriage commitment. But if you don't have that build-up and you don't have that foundation, you're starting off with a negative. And any marriage, especially in this culture and from a biblical perspective, if you starting with that deficit, it's not gonna stop. It might linger on even in the marriage.
Even in the marriage. Lady Ben, how say you, woman of God?
I do agree that you do need love. You need to love your fiancé before you marry him. I would just add to Bishop Ben what he just said. You have got to realize that I have got to get up every morning for the rest of my life and see your face. And right now you're young and you look gorgeous and your muscles are taut. And after a while, they start getting a little flaccid and a little flabby, and you start getting a couple wrinkles and you can't move, and you lose that beautiful ripped abdomen, and you start getting a little poot. I have got to realize that if I don't love you, I'm not going to make it.
Okay.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much, woman of God. You have solved the question. Okay, at this time we'll be hearing from our apostle Lucien. Man of God, how say you?
Well, certainly, yes, love, like I said, is the most powerful force in the universe. And we can grow in love. And sadly, sometimes we grow out of love. You know, the person who was head and heels over, now you can't stand them. What has happened there? The pressures of life has caused it to deteriorate and to fall apart. But I believe there must be an attraction and you grow into love. You know, you have to be attracted. That some people say, well, God send this. Yes, God can certainly send, but let's be real and let's be practical. I like her shape, or I like her smile, or I like something about her. It's okay. It's not being carnal or unspiritual to be attracted to someone. And because you could be attracted to someone physically. And when you get to know them, you say, I don't want no part of this. Because the ways are not nice. The attitude is not nice. You know, so there must be an attraction, and that attraction should grow into love. You know, it's not I love and then I'm attracted. You're attracted and then you love. You see? So yeah, there should be love there.
And if I could just put in there, one of the things I tell people, don't rejoice about falling in love. Because if you fall in, you could fall out also. You don't fall in love, you grow in love. So I admonish people, stop using that term, I fell in love, because if you fall in, you might find yourself falling out. This is a progression, and this is something that you build on as you go along.
But let me ask a general question before we hear from Pastor McGee. Aren't you more likely to make sacrifices towards a person that you love than a person you don't love? Example now, if I was Bishop Ben's son, okay, naturally he would love me. So if I wanted him to buy me a Mercedes-Benz, it wouldn't be a problem. Because the love. So when love is there, certain sacrifices you can make easier, wouldn't you think? Certain things are much easier because love will make you do certain things.
And one of the things I love about marriage and love relationship, as we're talking about, is caring. You can live with anybody and say you love them and don't care you don't care about them. And so with that care comes sacrifice. Yes, you care. I care about you. I care about your well-being. I care about I care about your advancement. I want to see you fulfill even your, as we could like to say in the church, your potential and your destiny and all that. I care about you. Yes. And so many times marriages unravel because we say we love, and well, I told you I love you on the day I got married to you. No, you have to continue reinforcing that. And one of the ways you reinforce that love is showing care one for the other.
Beautiful. Well said, man of God. Pastor McGee, how say you, sir?
Well, one of the things I would love to piggyback on what Bishop Ben said about the falling in love phrase. It's funny. He said it from the angle that he said it. I usually, with my young people and stuff at the church, I always say to them, be careful about this whole falling in love concept, because when you're falling down, and to make a decision or to make decisions from a fallen place can be very dangerous, because it can skew your perspective. You need to be standing. You need to be conscious. You need to be stable. You need to be looking at what you're looking at from a balanced perspective.
Not from a fallen position.
Stop falling in love and stand in love. Because again, what everyone is saying, I wholeheartedly agree with that. You grow in it. You grow in it because it does start off, something drew you to that person. Something attracted you to that person. I know a lot of times that we are spiritual people, but sometimes we have a tendency to kind of over spiritualize things. But something, whether it is a spiritual thing or a personality thing or a physical thing, something drew you to that person. And then you get to know the person.
Right.
And in getting to know the person, you start to love the characteristics, certain things in their personality. We can keep going. But I do believe that love is a absolute significant part of the whole equation, because again, selfish people cannot do relationship well.
That's right.
Selfish people cannot do relationship well. And what love does, as Bishop Scott, you were just alluding to it, the Bible says, for God so loved that he gave. Love is a giving component. It makes you give, makes you sacrifice. It makes you, Bishop Benz, it makes you care. It makes you want to do. It makes you not just selfish, but it makes you selfless. And those are great components to build a relationship on, and love also, there's a huge component of love. It's a choice. A lot of times we look at love as just this emotional high and this thing that stimulates. Yes, there's some stimulation there, obviously. Yes, there's things that go with the emotional part of things. But, love, by all intents and purposes, is a conscious choice. And when you really love someone, you choose to be with them. You choose to sacrifice. You choose to humble yourself. You choose to work things out. You choose. It's a choice. You get up every day and you choose, because you made that vow, and then that's why love is important. It's significant.
So are you telling me, Pastor, that nobody can come and prophesy to me that is going to be my husband or that is going to be my wife?
I'm going to tell you. Oh, Bishop Ben, I'm so glad you touched that. I'm so glad
you just used the word choice there, so I just wanted to know.
Yes, Bishop Ben, I firmly believe. And this is and I'm speaking from a person that I do believe in the prophetic manifestations and the gifts that come along with what the biblical representation of what that is, right? But I do not believe that people should prophesy about a person's husband, wife, and who they should marry, because that prophet is not going home with the person they're prophesying to. They're not going home with them to work the marriage out, to get to know each other. They're not living with them. We got to be careful what we try to attach prophecies to. And then I and you know, unfortunately, this is sad but true. I know a lot of marriages that have failed on the back of a prophecy.
Amen.
And I'm gonna just leave it there.
Amen.
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 Amen. Amen. As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, that Pastor McGee is my son, and I taught him well. Let me ask a quick question there. Then, is marriage an important goal that we all should strive towards? Is it a goal that we all should strive towards getting married? Is it compulsory that we all get married? How say you?
Well, the Bible says, "He that findeth a wife findeth a good thing," and it's a good thing. And then we notice that marriage is honorable. Is it for everybody? Some people, you know, if they could, and then when it says, "Better to marry than to burn," so it endorses, it encourages a marriage. To have a family, it's a beautiful thing. What's more beautiful than family? So yeah, but if someone chooses to be single, hey, still a choice.
I'll say.
I'm sorry. I don't know if you were alluding to Bishop Ben.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, Bishop Ben. Yeah, I would have to say it's a wonderful thing to strive for. I do think that there are so many blessings that are wrapped within the construct of a healthy, godly marriage. However, it is not for everybody. It is just not for everybody. It's not, because there's just certain characteristics that one has to have to be successfully married. And some people, unfortunately, by nature, are selfish. And again, marriage is not for selfish people. It's just not. It's just not. And I'm not saying that, I'm not throwing any shade at anyone that chooses or that maybe inherently they just love the single life. But I'm just saying some people's personality does not necessarily cater to a marital construct. But it is something that I believe, because of what the Bible teaches on it, it is such a blessing. And you know, it's not good for man to be alone. Be alone, right? That's what the Bible says. It is not good. And then also, Apostle Lucien quoted the scripture. The Bible said, "Yes, he that findeth a wife findeth a good thing." It's a good thing. So it is a good thing for everyone to really strive for. But the truth, the reality is, everyone is not built for it. Everyone is not built for it.
And I concur with what you've just said there. And there's a saying that I say to even singles. I say it's better to be single, happy and fulfilled than married and miserable. Right? Be fruitful even in your singleness. Achieve even in your singleness. Don't let anybody make you feel like, you know, you're on the shelf. Your clock is ticking and all those, that kind of negative that they throw at you. Probably marriage may not be for you. Okay. And so you have to be probably content with that. However, as everyone have said, it's something worth striving for. I am glad I am married. I am happy I am married. I'm fulfilled. I am married. And I don't think I could have lived the single family, the single life. I'm being honestly, that has its people, but I need somebody close by me, you know, there with me, complimenting me, encouraging me, surrounding me with love and affection and so forth. But again, that may not be for everybody. You hear women, and I'm not picking, but you hear, especially from that movie, I can do bad all by myself. Well, that might be your choice, but it doesn't mean that somebody who feels the need that they want that compatibility in their life to not to go after it. I encourage marriage, but I encourage you also to make sure you do your homework before stepping into the ring.
Amen. Amen to that. Lady Ben, would you like to say something pertaining to that?
I concur. My husband said it so very well. And I do believe in marriage. I think it's something good to strive for. Culturally, or let's go back a couple of years where you had women, if they were spinsters, they were looked upon and frowned upon as old maids. I mean, that they were not accepted in society as having accomplished because they were not married. Our culture has changed so much and evolved, if I can use that word, that today we have a choice. I believe God ordained marriage. Yes. I believe that, man, it's not good for him to be alone. And I'm happy to be married for the companionship, for the love. But I honestly believe that there are some people who are just too selfish to share anything. They're just selfish. It's me, myself, and I. And they don't want to share. And those people, for them, it's better that they be single.
Woman of God, thank you very much. But I believe, Bishop Ben, your favorite song should be Close to Thee.
Of course. I sing that in my sleep.
Well, listen, I know that time is going, but let me just ask this question quickly. What are some advantages in marriage? Advantages in marriage. Doctor.
Could I quickly chime in? I do believe that we're no one person is good at everything. No one person is great at everything. And some of the weaknesses that we do have are in fact ordained by God. Like, it's not necessary. We always talk about the ordained strengths or the things that we do that are like great abilities, skills that we might have, just different nuances that we might come with. Some people are great organizers. Some people are great with financial, like stewarding their finances. Some people are great savers. Some people are great shoppers. Some people are great spenders. Some people are great, communicators. Like, they can really put themselves forward and speak to certain things. So with that said, I think the advantage that I would love to chime in on, and then I'm gonna really leave it up to these successfully married, seasoned veterans to speak on it, is I believe that there is a aspect of the strength when the two become one, and when it's really a union based on it's a God union, and the chemistry is right, and there's a healthy relationship, and all of that, all of the wonderful things that we talked about tonight. If you're good at it, I don't necessarily have to be good at it, and I can. That's why when the Bible says, submit yourselves one to another, in the fear of God and things, it really has a powerful, it's a powerful thing to be able to submit to one another in love and in the fear of God, and understanding the power of teamwork and working as a unit in that construct. That is a beautiful and a powerful advantage of marriage, that I can be horrible at something, but thank God he gave me somebody that's more than able and capable. And I can just lean on that person and say, baby, take care of that for me, please. I'm horrible.
Amen.
Beautiful.
And that, sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I do agree that for me, the strength of marriage, one of the greatest attributes is that it supports good mental health. And you may think, well, some marriages could stress you out, but a good, godly Christian marriage, it supports your mental health. When you've got somebody that you could talk to, when you feel all frazzled and stressed out, and you could come and say, hey, this is what's happening. And he doesn't feel that he needs to solve the problem, but just listen to me. It reduces your high blood pressure. It increases the enzymes that give you joy when you've got that good mental health. A good marriage supports mental health. And when you've got that longevity, when you've been there for 40, 45 years, those are the sweetest years of marriage. I'm so glad I didn't quit back when I was 20, 15, 5 years married, but I stayed the course because it's like when a baby is being formed, you have the sperm and you have the ovum getting together. It's two cells. And then when they fuse, they begin by a process of meiosis and mitosis to begin to multiply. And those two cells begin to form different cells and organs. And over a period of time, you get a beautiful baby, well formed. And then you can rejoice over that. In the same way, when you stick with your marriage, that longevity gives you that baby, as it were, that you can rejoice over. And for me, that is what one of the aspects of a good marriage, of staying the course.
Wow, beautiful.
As we're talking, three things jumped out at me there: companionship, unity, working in oneness, working in harmony. But the one I want to look at is complementing each other. You don't come into marriage for anybody to make you happy. You better come in with a sense of happiness and fulfillment, and knowing, who you are, and now who you're going to get married to. So we complement each other. As Pastor said, I don't have it all. I have some weaknesses. My wife don't have it all. She has some weaknesses. A practical example: when we got married, in our early marriage, my wife would be paying bills, and checks would be bouncing all over the globe. Okay, and she forget to balance her book, so she paid a bill but didn't have no money in the account, and but things were bouncing, and but I was more calculated and defined in my approach. So we came to the understanding: hey, baby, you take care of the bills. So what she did, she would give me whatever monies and so on, and I became accountable to make sure those things were done. On the other hand, she may not have been good with the bills, but she was good with saving. Oh my goodness, that girl can save a penny. You understand? Times when I pull into the service station and I want to put $5 in the car just to go from point A, she pulls up by it and she looks out and say, "Fill it up." And I see a 20 or 220 is coming out. Okay. And so that was that complimenting. That's her strength. Okay. A lot of our financial achievements in the marriage, I give her credit. She is good at it. But I will give away all. I will bless everybody. Okay. And then at the end, she's asking me, "So what's going on here?" All right. So we complement each other. All right. My wife should not go out and somebody have to tell her how she looked. I am the one to save her from embarrassment before she gets out there. Similarly, okay, or tell her how good she looks. That should be us complimenting each other.
Beautiful, well said indeed. Apostle, would you like to chime in?
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. This is well said by the Benz. Yeah, I have some C's here. We don't compete. It's sad when a husband and wife compete. Because when you do good, I do good, because the two shall become one. If you're successful, I rejoice with you. I celebrate you. It's how can you fight against your own self? A man that nourishes wife nourishes his own self. So we don't compete, we cooperate. We complement. We are compatible. We need companionship. It's not good for man to be alone. And we make each other's complete. Like Bishop Ben was saying, the area that I'm weak in, she is strong. It brings balance. It brings equilibrium. So it's beautiful. These are the benefits, and there are benefits that two is better than one. A threefold cord is not easily broken. What I can do by myself, we can even do more together. We can build, amen, together. So it's not really good for us to be alone. I know of people that live by themselves and die, and 3 days later, they found them because they live alone. It's not good. It's not healthy to be alone. We were not wired to be alone. God in his infinite wisdom saw Adam say, I'm going to give you a helpmeet, somebody to help you. And so we help each other, iron sharpened iron. So it's a beautiful thing. And these are just some of the benefits. What about the benefits of procreation? What about the benefits of sex? It might sound like a taboo. It's not a bad thing. It's something that God gave us as a gift to enjoy. We can enjoy that with our partner. It gets sweet. But let me say this. While there are so many good things about marriage, a dysfunctional marriage probably is one of the most painful experiences one can ever have. Where you don't want to go home. You sit in the car at the house 11 o'clock and you don't want to go upstairs. It leads you to do other things that you don't even want it to do. It can damage your life. To have a marriage that's dysfunctional, it can affect the children. It can affect your health, your finance. Listen, man, a dysfunctional marriage is like a disease. It's like a sickness. It's painful. Yes. So we want to encourage healthy marriages.
Amen.
And the benefits that it gives.
Beautiful. Excellent. Listen, we only have 15 minutes left. I would definitely like to touch on question number 2, okay, which is how seriously should we take our vows of marriage? How seriously should we take our vows of marriage? Bishop Ben.
Seriously, 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 seriously. And above all, seriously. you don't step into marriage, half-heartedly, que sera, sera. Let me see if this gonna work. Or when I get into the marriage, I put the marriage on cruise control. I let go the steering wheel and I don't put the car in gear. Marriage is work. It is work. Let me say that again. Marriage is work. So when you getting into, you got to take your vows seriously. There should be no back door. Hey, when I got married, our slogan for our marriage is divorce is not an option. Divorce is not an option. I was prepared, and my wife, I believe, was prepared to work through any situation that confronted us. That was our resolve as we came into our marriage. So that's the seriousness and the sacredness that you should have where your marriage is concerned. There's no, let's try this to see if it's going to work. Let's put it to the test. If we get in it and it didn't work, we can just get back out. No, when you're talking about, and again, we're talking from a biblical Christian perspective, when you are getting into the marriage union and you take those vows, don't just say them as words, but say them as a covenant you making to your wife before God. That's why I don't believe marriage is an arrangement or a contract. I see marriage as a covenant that we make with each other before God. It must be entered seriously.
Lady Ben?
I do agree that it should be entered into seriously. I do see it as a covenant, and it's not just a covenant, but it's a lifelong covenant. When we say until death do us part, and it doesn't mean until I kill you or you kill me, but it means until death do us part. I'm willing to go through up and down, round about, wherever our lives would take us. And this is the covenant that I'm making with you. I do agree it should be taken seriously.
Amen. Okay, Pastor McGee.
It should be taken extremely seriously, very seriously. because it's covenant. It's covenant, and we understand the power of covenant, the significance of covenant, and we understand that when we make a vow and we're making life decisions like this, it always should be approached with the appropriate level of reverence, thought process, prayer, all of the relevant things. I can say this, speaking from the vantage point of someone that's been married and divorced. When I went through the time and the season of my divorce, it was like a death. It was like someone close to me, someone in the family, like it was like a loved one died. Because I think that because you can approach marriage with that level of seriousness, but unfortunately the reality of how things play out doesn't necessarily support the seriousness that you did enter it into the marriage with. But one thing I can say is that it absolutely has to be taken seriously. And obviously when it doesn't work out, if you were serious in and of itself, and even depends on how it unravels, because there's extreme situations that we probably don't have time to get into, obviously, tonight. But there's situations where sometimes divorce is the inevitable, or it is the wise choice in certain scenarios, right? And like I said, we don't have the time to get into that tonight. But when I went through it, it was like a death. It was like someone died close to me, because that's the level of seriousness that I took it in. But it should be taken very seriously.
Okay. Apostle?
Yeah, yes, seriously, the seriousness, the sacredness, the sanctity, marriage. Even in the vows, there's a portion that said it should not be entered into unadvisedly, lightly, reverently, but in the fear of God. And so marriage is sacred and serious. And yeah, but there's also while we talk about the seriousness, it should be fun. We should enjoy our marriage. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Another slogan that I use in counseling is enjoy your marriage, not endure your marriage. Too many people are enduring their marriage. Well, we're married, so we may as well stay together. That's enduring your marriage. Enjoy it. Let marriage be fun. And as I said before, one of the things that kills marriage is when we lose friendship, because the time and in the courting and so on, we're giggling, we're laughing, and we're having good times. And then once we get into the marriage, all that is sucked out by the cares of the marriage and the dynamics we have to go through. So I said, have that friendship, initiate that, conserve that, keep it in the marriage, because it's vital also, so that you can enjoy each other's company.
I find that in most marriages, sometimes that passionate love that you have in the beginning is short-lived. What can we do to lengthen that passionate love? What can we do to keep that going, rather than it's on for 3 months and then after that it's like, yes, I do love you, but what can we do to keep that passion going?
You never stop courting. There are times when we feel that I love you, I got married, and I'm going to settle. No, marriage is a living organism. It's alive. And what it took to get married, what it took to get that man or get that woman, it's going to take to keep them. We have to enter marriage with a very conscious endeavor that I am going to do everything. So I always dress up so that my husband sees me at my best. I'm going to continue it. I'm not going to have rollers in my hair. Well, I have no more hair now. But, back in the day, rollers in my hair. He leaves, I'm in a robe. He comes back, I'm in the same robe. No, I am going to entreat my husband. I am going to do everything possible. I'm courting. As he courts me, I court him. I'm going to put him first in every way. It's a conscious effort that we have to take. You've got to court every day of your marriage. The day you stop, it becomes stale and boring.
And you have to make healthy deposits. It's an investment.
Yes.
Okay. And as you put healthy deposits in, you get substantial returns. Beautiful. A lot of folks don't want to invest and expect to get healthy returns. You have to make healthy deposits in the love bank so that when it's time to tender your withdrawal slip, there's something that you can withdraw from. Don't put your marriage on cruise control. It would not work. You have to invest in it. You have to make a conscious effort to want to see this work and the passion continue. I encourage people, do not allow yourself to be cut off from longevity. Longevity. We are talking about this April will be 43 years married, and it's the sweetest time of the relationship. I mean, the initial when we came together, that was glowing. But now, after you have gone through the schooling, gone through the teenage, gone through all that hassle, the nest is empty and it's just both you and mama together. Come on here. You couldn't want it better than this. Do not allow yourself to be robbed of longevity, because longevity has rewarding benefits. Let me stop there.
You two are examples. God bless you, man of God and a woman of God. Keep it going. Bishop Ben, just by looking at you, man, I can see that you are a happy man. I mean, yes, your love bank must be big. Okay. Anyone like to chime in on what I just asked? Anyone?
Well, Dr. Ben, like Bishop Scott said, you and your wife, you are truly examples to this generation. And I'm looking at a classic relationship right here. And I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying you may not have some disagreements or whatever, but it seems solid. And since the kids and the grandkids are all out of the house, do you still chase her around?
Oh, please, please. Hallelujah. I'm still alive and kicking.
Wonderful.
Beautiful. We have 4 minutes left. Anyone else like to chime in? Please, man, unmute.
Yes, so sorry about that again. Yeah, Bishop Ben and Dr. Ben, I tell you something. You both are great examples, and a wealth of deep wisdom and information. I'm telling you something. I pray that just many in this upcoming generation, millennials, Generation Zs, I just pray that people flock to you, and understand the wealth of information and experience that you have to offer, because I believe that that's one of the main things that this generation, our generation, is somewhat missing, especially in Christendom. I think we have enough now, this modern day church age, we have enough prophetic flows and prophetic encounters and everything else to last a lifetime. But what we are not getting and seeing is young people willing at times to kind of sit down and receive from the sage, the experience, those that have walked the walk, not just talk the talk, but walk the walk. So God bless you. I really thank God for the both of you. And you are a blessing in the kingdom. It's good to see it. And yes, and I'm sure again that I pray that we flock, people about my age group and younger will flock to you and really, really listen.
Well, we thank God and thank God for having us on the forum tonight. Saturday we did a marriage seminar on Zoom.
Nice.
For a church. And Bishop, to God be the glory. The folks were I mean, blown by again what we had to share and so on, to the point that they're saying, hey, we don't want this in Zoom anymore. We want an in-person. So get ready. Out of that, another pastor, another church called on us and said, hey, can you do one for us? I love to be transparent, as Apostle always like to use that word. Don't give people the pie in the sky, jump on the white horse and go out there and live happily ever after. Give them the nitty-gritty of marriages and what it takes to have a blessed, successful marriage. And I think that is what people want to hear today.
Thank you, man of God. Okay, we only have 1 minute left. Okay, we have said a lot. We have heard a lot. In 15 seconds each, what should we take away from this conversation tonight? Apostle Lucien, what should we take away?
We need to talk more about this, because the Bible is the book of life, and marriage deals with life. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Pastor McGee.
How powerful love is. How powerful love is, and how powerful loving like God, loving from his lens, how powerful that is, and how it will affect all our relationships. Marriages, obviously, focus, and then all the other ones.
Thank you much. Lady Ben, what should we take away from tonight's conversation?
Love is important to marriage. It's the foundation. Without love and caring, you're not going to make it. It's so essential.
Bishop Ben, give us the last word, please.
And for me, love is not an agreement. It's neither a contract. Marriage, God's way, is a covenant, a long-lasting, fulfilling relationship that you live out one with the other.
Amen. Well said indeed. Well, we just want to thank God for Apostle Lucien Rojas. We thank God for Pastor McGee, and we thank God for Bishop Ben and his beautiful wife, Lady Ben. And certainly, woman of God, it's a pleasure once again to have you on the Bishop's Corner for the first time. This is Bishop Scott saying thank you very, very much for weighing in tonight. All being well, we shall meet next week, same time on the Bishop's Corner.